evening, ladies. We'd like to welcome all YLs to the YL OpNet. This is Catherine, AC4YL Net Control for this evening's net. We meet every Thursday at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time on the Echolink ALARA Conference node. Be sure to invite all YLs you know to join us. The purpose of this net is to encourage YLs everywhere to keep active on the radio, help each other become better ham radio operators, and have fun. We do ask that only YLs or licensed female amateur radio operators check in and participate. We encourage you to join us in the NFARL Do Drop In chat room by opening any web browser and going to nfarl.dodropin.org. Just put your name -- call sign in the box and click log in. Okay, we invite all YLs who are here with us to check in. When checking in, please give us your call sign, your name, and current location. We will now begin taking check-ins. This is Catherine, AC4YL. If you're a YL and would like to check in, please call now.
AE7MB, Margaret, Battleground, Washington.
KC8PKY, Linda, Knox, Indiana.
KW1YL, Brenda, New Haven, Connecticut.
Alpha Hotel Foxtrot, Becky, Hutto, Texas.
KK4USM, Tammy, Alpharetta.
Kilo Alpha 1 United Lima November, Nisi, in Andover, Massachusetts. Good evening, my YLs.
This is WA4YL, Dawn in Hudson.
Let's see if I can.
This is W1AYL, Ann in New Hampshire.
Let's see if I can try this again. KC9ZHV in Albany, Illinois.
Victor Alpha 3, Whiskey Hotel Uniform, Carroll, Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Start of a heat wave for us for this long weekend. Over.
Okay, very good. We'll go ahead and start with that round of check-ins. So far we have Margaret, AE7MB, joining us from Washington. Linda, KC8PKY, joining us from Indiana. Lauren, KC9ZHV, checking in from Illinois. We got you on the first go-round there, Lauren, but thanks for rechecking later just in case. Brenda, KW1YL, joining us from Connecticut. Becky in Texas, could you come back again with your call sign? I didn't get, I got nothing except the Hotel Foxtrot at the end. So if you can come back with your call, that would be great. Go ahead, Becky.
No problem. It's Kilo India 5 Alpha Hotel Foxtrot.
Okay, thanks so much, Becky. KI5AHF. Great to have you here with us this week. Tammy, KK4USM, joining us from Georgia. Nisi, KA1ULN, checking in from Massachusetts. Dawn, WA4YL, joining us from Florida this evening. And W1AYL, joining us from New Hampshire. And Carol, VA3WHU, joining us from Ontario, Canada. Okay, do we have any other YLs who would like to check in this evening? Please call now.
W1ARU, Ann in Massachusetts, Hanover to be specific.
Okay, very good. Also joining us this evening is Ann, WB1ARU, out of Massachusetts this evening. And Melanie is here with me, AG4YL, and I am Catherine, AC4YL. All right, do we have any other YLs who have not checked in? We'll do one last call here, and then we'll go on into the net. Okay, very good. Not hearing anyone else, so don't have my Echo Link sheet coming in. So let's see. Let's go to Margaret real quick. Margaret, if you're around AE7NB, how am I sounding? I'm coming in on RF this evening. Is my audio okay?
Me, almost like you're in my living room. Over.
Thanks so much, Margaret. I appreciate it. I just wanted to make sure that I was getting out okay. It's a little staticky on my end because of where I am at the moment. So anyway, speaking of where I am, Melanie and I are actually sitting in a park. So in the spirit of field day that was just this past weekend, we decided to take the net mobile this evening. So, or I should say portable, because we're not really moving at the moment. So we're hanging out here at the park and thought we'd run the net portable this evening in the spirit of field day that was just this past weekend. And so what we'd like to do is hear about your field day experiences. I know several of you participated in field day this past weekend. We'd like to know how it went for you. So where did you operate, and did you operate on commercial power, or did you operate off of a battery or some other power source? And how was your field day experience? We'd like to hear from you on how your field day was this past weekend. So if you'd like to share it with us, please go ahead and give us your call sign, and we will pass the mic to you.
Well, I will. I guess somebody else must have done field day besides me, WB1ARU.
All right, very good, Ann. Well, we'll let you kick it off. Please go ahead.
Well, nobody's commented about the oldies music in the background, so maybe the mic isn't picking it up. If anybody hears it, let me know. I'll try to do something about it. Might run upstairs and turn it down. Anyway, field day. Tony and I did field day together. We used his call sign, which is Whiskey Alpha 1, Echo Norway Ocean. We were a 1E, which means although we were on our home station with our home antenna, we were using emergency power to run it. And we had the generator purring away in the backyard. Did pretty well. We both took turns being on the air. I went all Saturday afternoon, and then he did a lot Saturday evening, and I did some more, and I think he finally quit around 2 a.m. Sunday morning, and then I got up started again about 6:30 maybe, I think. And then he got on, and we took turns again, and I think we had to quit a little afternoon because of our granddaughter's dance recital, and made around 900 cues, mostly 20 meters and a little 40, and all sideband. So that was field day for us. WB1ARU, back to that.
Wow, that's fantastic, Ann. It sounds like you guys made a lot of cues over the weekend. That's fantastic. Band conditions seem to be operating quite well this weekend. Of course, Dr. Tamitha Scove told us about that, and to expect some nicer band conditions than we've had in probably about the last year or so. Some solar activity has certainly contributed to good band conditions for field day, and sounds like you and Tony were able to take good advantage of that and have a lot of fun doing it. So thanks, Ann, for telling us about your field day experience. That's fantastic. Sounds like you guys had a successful one. Who else played field day this past weekend and would like to tell us a little bit about where you operated and what power you used and that kind of thing? Tell us about your field day experience.
AE7MB.
Please go ahead, Margaret.
Well, I didn't play Field Day the way most of you played Field Day, but our amateur radio club had their annual Field Day experience down at one of the vacant lots that's still in town, and we set it up as an open house. We had a lot of people coming through. We had a YL table, which was the second table in from the entrance. So we got to talk to everybody, and I talked to about a dozen women who are not amateurs yet, but they were interested in the class that we're offering. So that was very profitable. We had a good time and had good weather, had a lot of fun. So that was my field day.
Well, that's awesome, Margaret, and certainly time well spent, it sounds like. So curious, so when you have women that are interested potentially in becoming amateur radio operators, do you give them a flyer or something to take with them? I mean, what do you leave them with when they leave your table at events such as this? Do you give them your contact information or the club's information? What do you leave them with, Margaret?
Wrong button. Usually we have the flyer for the class. We didn't have that this time, but we had harmonics to give to them. We had information on MinnoNet, which is the local regional YL organization, and we had other pieces of paper to give to them, giving them contact information. We also told them how to contact us. So you know, we did a bunch of different things, and in the past, it's usually turned out pretty well. So we're hoping that it will turn out well this time. The women seem to be quite enthusiastic about it, and of course their OMs in most cases are more than willing to support them. Over.
Okay, that's great, Margaret. And one last question, and then I'll stop pestering you. How often do you gals run that class for YS? Is it once a month, or do you run it every other month? How often is your class? Do you run your classes there?
We run them twice a year. We run them mid-March and mid-October. The club has got so many other activities that we just don't have the time and the manpower to do it more often, and also securing a site. What we do is that we do it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then the following Thursday, Friday, Saturday. So it's basically 2 weekends and about 12 contact hours. So it's a really fast-paced operation, but we get good results. So we've got about somewhere between 85 and 90% pass ratio. Depends upon how much work the ladies put into it. But so that's basically what we're doing, and we're always glad to answer questions. So you're not really harassing me. I'm glad to tell you about it. Over.
Okay, very good, Margaret. Well, thank you very much for sharing that. And it sounds like you had a field day experience, a little different, as you mentioned, but very successful, it sounds like. So we're looking forward to hearing how your next class goes and how many people that you have come and take it. Do you recall what your largest class was, about how many YLs you had in, say, your largest class? And then what about is your average size for your class?
The very first class that we had about 12.5 ladies, and only 6 of them saw it through to the end. The next largest class was 12, and all of them saw it through the end. Average is probably about 6 to 8. So, it works out. If we figure that if we have more students than instructors, why that we're ahead of the game. Over.
Well, awesome. So what material do you gals use for running the class? What do you follow a particular type of curriculum or a particular material that you use? And about how many instructors do you have that run the class?
We have 4 ladies teaching the class, and we do a team approach. We divide it up. We define which areas we want to test or train. We're using the ALARA curriculum, but we also tell them about the Gordon West curriculum, our books, and also about the online. We try to give them as many different experiences as possible. One of the things that we do is that we do a net in the classroom, usually on the first night, sometimes on the second night, just so that people can see what an amateur radio is all about and press the PTT and talk into it and find out that they're not going to get bit by it. And then after they pass their exam, then we do a first contact. So they get a couple of times chances to play with the radio, which we think is important as well. Most of our presentations are slide presentations. Some of them are things that we've created on our own, and others are ones that we've gotten from the ALLL. So we do a kind of a mix of a bunch of different things. But we try to get the ladies involved. We do give them a practice test to take home on Saturday, and we go over it on Thursday, so they have a chance to see what an exam looks like and all of that. So we do all kinds of things, and we do a lot of touchy-feely things as well as just sit and lecture type things. This is AE7MD.
Okay, very good, Margaret. Awesome. Sounds like you gals use a nice variety of material and teaching methods to kind of help the gals get familiar and comfortable with it. I think Melanie had a couple more questions for you, so I'll pass the mic over to her.
Hey, good evening, ladies. This is Melanie, AG4YL, and one question, and I guess you could probably answer this at the same time. I have 2 questions for you. The first is, and maybe you already said this, and you'll have to forgive me. I've been trying to get Echolink up on the phone. I've been trying to get it up on a tablet, and nothing's connecting. But my first question was, and again, forgive me if you've answered this, how many classes are there, and how long does the course last? In other words, I know you mentioned a Saturday and a Thursday. Do you meet, every Saturday for 4 weeks, and then then test or what. So I guess frequency and length of time that it takes. And the second question is, and I just had I keep trying to log in here. I'm trying to multitask, and that's my enemy today. My second question is where, and we've probably asked this before in the past. We're so intrigued by the great work that you do in getting new YLs, getting women interested and getting them licensed. Where do you, post your flyers, or where do you find YLs to get them interested? Where do you recruit them to come to your class? I guess is kind of the best way for me to put that. So, how long does the test last? How many sessions, and how long of a period of time? And where do you find your students? Over to you, A7MB, A24Y.
Okay, classes. We have 2 Thursday night classes from 7 to 9, 2 Friday night classes from 7 to 9, 2 Saturday morning classes 9 to 1. The second Saturday is actually classwork from 9 to 10. Then we give them review time, and they take their exam that second Saturday. So that's 4, 8, about 13, 14 hours of connect time over a 2-week period. And where do we get our students? Well, we've got a ham radio outlet nearby, so we take flyers down there. The club has connections with other clubs in the area, and so we let them know about it. A lot of it is word of mouth. The emergency services folks talk about it among themselves, and so we'll get a lot of YLs through the volunteer emergency service programs. We get them from OMs that are active. We get them from people just talking about it. Except for, we do send notification out to the CERT programs and the various emergency coordination system groups and HRO, and then other than that, it's kind of word of mouth. So, but this area is very excited about emergency preparedness, and so if you tell your CERT people or your equivalent of police, fire on a volunteer basis, the folks that help support them, if you get the police, fire folks involved in it, let them know that we've got these classes going, why then it happens somehow. The other thing is that we put it up on the ARRL website that we're having classes, and in the Pacific Northwest there's a fellow that does an update of all the classes being offered in the Pacific Northwest, and so he'll go through ARRL and various sites, and then I'll put it all in one place. So that's another resource that we have. This is AE7MB.
Okay, this is Melanie, AG4YL. Thank you. It sounds like that just timed out on the repeater, but I think the repeater's echo link cut it off before it actually took the repeater down, because the repeater just pop back up again. But the reason why we're asking a lot of these questions is because we wanted to start doing something similar to that, to getting some classes. There is a huge amount of Aries involvement here in the North Atlanta, Cobb County, and this area of Georgia. Georgia is really big into Aries and Reese's, and Third and Skywarn and all that kind of stuff. And so that makes sense, since that is really an area of interest in your location that you would get. That would be kind of a natural fit. If they're interested in the emergency services, that would be a natural fit to want to be involved in amateur radio. So what a great, way, angle, if you will, to approach getting some people in. And, of course, HRO, we have one here in Atlanta, though not real close to us. It's not impossibly far. And it is always very supportive of, this net, for instance, and of YLs in general. So we do find some help there. So I get that. We are both looking into, we're obviously both BEs, but both Catherine AC4L and myself are also interested in becoming certified instructors. And so for those that aren't aware, ARRL has, you can become a certified instructor. You can get discounts on instructional materials from ARRL, and you can have classes listed on the ARRL website. So just wanted to say thank you for answering all of my questions, at least. I appreciate that. And we're just constantly amazed, and we love what you're doing up there. And I'd like to kind of take a page from your book and learn a lot from you. Appreciate it. And this is a C4YL. I'll send this back to Net Control.
One other source that I forgot about, we have several churches that are involved in community preparedness, and so we get some of our candidates from that aspect also. Over.
Well, that's great, Margaret. Thanks again for all that great information. I hope the other gals here on the net aren't bored, but find this interesting as well. And we just kind of came across that. It's very inspiring and encouraging to us to perhaps start a class, or maybe see if there's interest in our local areas for YLs that might want to do the same thing. So, again, thanks so much, Margaret. And I know we're kind of off the field day topic, but does anybody else have questions for Margaret real quick? I'm going to put her on the spot a little bit longer here. If anybody else has questions for Margaret about her classes, I'd like to give everybody an opportunity, if you have one, to pose it while Margaret has the floor here. So if you have a question for Margaret, please go ahead. This is AC4YL. Okay, I'm not hearing anyone, so I guess no one has a question at this time. But thanks again, Margaret, for all the great information. We definitely do appreciate it. And again, we look forward to hearing how your next class goes in October. And so thanks again. We'll circle back around to the field day topic. We have had a couple more YLs join us this evening. We have April, VE3BHG, joining us from Canada, and Judy, KE7IXI, joining us as well from Arizona. So we're glad to have you gals here with us. Thanks so much for being here. We were talking about field day, and Margaret was talking about the classes that she runs for YLs up there in Washington. and we kind of got off topic from field day here. But we were just sharing our field day experiences. So if you are a YL who has participated in field day this past weekend and would like to tell us about your field day experience, whether you operated from home or if you were out and about portable playing field day this past weekend, please tell us about your field day experience.
VE3BHG.
Please, go ahead, April.
Thank you. This was my first experience with a field day this year, and I was quite thrilled to be able to be a part of it. I didn't volunteer for anything. I thought, well, I'd like to see what it's about first and just kind of get a feel for how our club does things. We had about 5 stations set up in Balls Falls, which it was like it's an area where people like to go hiking, but there's a place where they had almost like a camping area. I don't think it's actually used for that on a regular basis, but they brought us a porta potty and a fire pit and so forth and so on. A couple people actually had trailers there. One person had a tent, and one person had a utility trailer set up with the 80 meters. And the GOTA station was operating on 15 and 20, and I tried it, but I didn't make any new contacts. So in any case, there was another fellow there who had a D-Star rig, and he was talking to his friends in western Ohio, and they had said, I'm pausing for a second. Sorry about that. I hope my mic wasn't open when I was yelling at my husband. He's using the food processor. Sorry about that. Anyway, okay, so it's a lovely area, and they were very supportive of our thing, but the weather wasn't the kindest. Saturday it drizzled just a little bit, but Sunday it actually bucketed. I think a lot of people were working from home then, but the diehards were out. I imagine the 80-meter people intended to and probably did operate overnight because that's when 80 meters is the most active. But anyway, my experience with D-Star was lovely. There was 2 fellows from Western Ohio who were regular contacts of my friend John there. Don't remember his call sign off the top of my head, but he introduced me to these guys, and they have a net on Thursday night. So I said, oh, darn. Anyway, so I might alternate. It just depends on how that goes. It was just a lovely, they were so lovely and friendly and supportive, and it was interesting to try D-Star for the first time. I enjoyed that, and there was 2 people who were doing 40 meters. One was doing single sideband, and one person was doing CW, and another person was doing 20 meters on their own. The only thing I found with the stations being close together was that we were getting some interference from the CW, but that it depended on which band you were on. I got to listen in on the 40 meters and the 80 a little bit. As I said, more active at night. So it was one of those things. Basically, I really, like I say, it's a question of, which equipment do I want to get when I get around to it. And I have my 2 meters, pausing for reset. But my 2 meter handheld, I was lent an antenna, a 5/8 wavelength antenna for the 2 meter radio, and I finally got an adapter. Oh boy, sorry about that. Do I need to pause again because it says I'm doubling? Anyway, okay. I'm going to turn it over. I'm a little bit confused here as to whether I'm still doubling or not. But basically, it was a lot of fun. And, oh yes, I used my new adapter with my 5/8 antenna. And I actually got, oh, thank you. Okay, great. Thank you, Catherine. Appreciate it. So yes, on Wednesday night when our normal net takes place, I was able to sit outside without having to stand in this very specific spot without moving or turning around, and enjoy the net, and with the 5/8 on a cookie sheet because it was a mag mount. So I was actually quite thrilled with that, and I'm going to take it with me, when we go up north next week and see if there's any repeaters up there that I can bounce off of, because I don't know for sure that what there is. I just downloaded Repeater Book, but I can't seem to get it to tell me, like when I go there, what I'm going to be closer to. So I don't know how that works. And anyways, so that's basically it. It's been a tiring day because it's very muggy here. It's it would be nice if it rained again, but it has been raining quite a bit. Just very, very humid, and it's very tiring. And, getting ready to go on vacay is tiring as well. But in any case, that was my experience this week. So with that, I'm going to say VE3BHG back to net control.
Okay, very good, April. Well, sounds like you had a lot of fun. I think this was your first field day experience, and sounds like you got to explore a few new things, and that's awesome, because that's what field day's about, exploring and checking other aspects of the hobby out, and hanging out with other hams if you can, and as long as you're having fun and learn something new along the way too, that doesn't hurt, right? So thanks so much, April, for coming in and telling us about your field day experience. It was great to hear about it, and feel free to check out other nets. That's a lot of fun. It's part of the exploring process for sure. So, awesome, thanks. Who else would like to tell us about your field day experience over the past weekend?
KC8PKY.
Please, go ahead, Linda.
Yeah, we operated with a group in a little town called Shelby, Indiana, about an hour from our house. So Thursday we packed up our travel trailer and went to a campground about 10 minutes from the site. But we operated 2A with a GOTA station, and they made almost 1,800 QSOs. And had a couple people do the GOTA station. I was pretty much the GOTA coach. And had one gentleman that did 20, and then had a fella come in with his two little boys that were 7 and 9. But when he put his when the 7-year-old put his age on the paper, he was 8 because he was almost 8. But they had a good time, and the weather cooperated pretty well. We had rain Thursday and Friday, but by Saturday and Sunday it was just fine. And with that, I will turn it back to Net as soon as this lets me out.
Okay, very good, Linda. Awesome. Well, sounds like y'all had a successful field day, made quite a few cues there, and that is awesome. Again, band conditions were pretty nice this past weekend, and that was a nice experience. this past weekend, Melanie and I got to play some field day. She had to work on Saturday, so I had some other things I had to get done as well. So we pretty much played field day Sunday, and it was cool. We got to set up a new antenna system that we got from Alpha Antenna back in at Hamcation in Orlando. We kind of did a little retrofitting. It's just slightly different than the original design, but we got it set up and got to play on more bands than we normally get to. We either are on 20 or on 40 with the handstick dipole, so it was nice to be able to just switch around and change bands without having to take the antenna down, swap out the handstick, put it back up, and play some more. So we operated as 1E, which, like Ann and Tony, is on emergency power off the battery, and we got to play with the new antenna. We played a little bit on 20, a little bit on 40, and some on 15. We just switched around to wherever the bulk of the activity was going on. So it was a lot of fun, had a great time, and thoroughly enjoyed it for the time that we were able to spend on it, and hopefully next year we'll be able to get out into the field again and perhaps use the same antenna, or you never know. That's a year from now. So always good to have some fun and explore and experiment with the new antenna, and I'd say it was quite successful. So let me pass it to Melanie and see if she has any other comments on her field day experience, and then we'll open it back up to the group, AG4YL. AC4YL in the net.
This is AG4YL, and yeah, like Catherine was saying, experimenting with a new antenna. We actually got it's Easy Military from Alpha Antenna, which is a great company, and the founder and owner, Steve, is he's wicked smart, and he gave us some hints, and we sort of used his match and then constructed some stuff using a long wire and a ground, and we did some things. We sort of didn't use it as it was intended, but it's okay, you know. As Steve loves it. We experiment with this stuff, and so we just stuck a long wire on one end and a big ground wire on the other end, stuck it in the ground on a tent peg, and threw it up in a tree, and threw some fishing weights over a tree and pulled the line up and gave it a shot, and by golly, not too doggone bad, and made more contacts when I was looking at the field day log. We only played radio for a few hours, but looking at the field day log, we made more contacts on 15 meters than we did on 20 or 40. 15 was really working good there on Sunday afternoon. But yeah, it was a really good time. I think the only disappointment was that clubs or groups had set up early on Friday. Set up really if you set up any time before it starts at 2 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, you can only run 12 hours. And by golly, Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern, the bands just went dead. There was nobody on for field day. And of course, we hadn't done any previous setup for it. We were working, of course, emergency power from home. We were kind of surprised that there was just absolutely nobody else on there for the last, 3 hours, because I think it goes like 5 p.m. Eastern, I believe. Yeah. So anyway, had a great time. Yeah, 27 hours. So anyway, had a great time, a lot of fun, and had a good time playing with the new antenna. And like Catherine said, who knows? Maybe next year we'll go portable. And at that, I'll send that back to Net Control. This is a G4YL.
Okay, very good, Melanie. Thank you very much. And yeah, that was kind of a bummer, because we were ready to keep on playing and had to stop because there just really wasn't anybody else to work for field day. Everybody kind of was done. As Melanie mentioned, if you set up any time before the kickoff time, you basically can only operate 24 out of the 27 hours. So A lot of people were done 3 hours before the official end of field day. So, but, you know, we still had a great time and worked quite a few stations, and that's what it's about, having some fun, playing and experimenting with new equipment, and, you know, it's a lot of fun. Had a good time. So we've had a couple more YLs that have joined us. Shirley, I see, has popped in and popped out and popped in, so I don't know if she's having some Echolink issues, but VK5YL was on. I don't see her on at the moment, but who knows, maybe she'll be able to get back in here. And Amy, AG7GP, has also joined us from Oregon. Welcome, Amy. Glad to see you here. And Sky, KA7SKY, has also joined us this evening. We're just talking about field day and how our experience was over this past weekend. So if you played field day, tell us how you played. Were you portable or did you operate from home? And tell us about your field day experience.
This is WA4YL.
Well, hello there, Dawn. Come on in. Tell us about your field day experience and anything else you want to share, Dawn.
Hello, Catherine and Melanie and everyone else, and Lauren and everyone else in the group. Just wanted to say hello for the evening. I did some field day, but not as much as I wanted to. It was much too hot for me at the clubhouse. So I stayed home for a little while, and then I went up and operated. And only got like 6 contacts because we had very poor band conditions down here. And also, I was going to operate from home. I looked up on my roof, and my antenna was laying on the roof. The coat hanger I had fashioned up there finally snapped. Back to net control.
Well, Dawn, glad you were able to get out there and at least play some in field day. That's awesome. But wow, what happened? Your antenna on the roof. What happened there again? It kind of cut out on me here.
Well, this is WA4YL. I have a Ultimax the Extreme Y antenna up that was hanging from a PVC pipe, goes up to the chimney. I tied up the middle end of it to a plastic coat hanger, and then smoked the rest of it down to the roof edge. Well, the sun ate the plastic coat hanger, and to tell you, I saw the antenna laying on the roof, and I was nervous about transmitting, so I connected my indoor antenna, but the band conditions were not in my favor.
Okay, Dawn, thanks for coming back and telling us. That's kind of a bummer, but hopefully you'll get it back up soon if you haven't already got it back up. But oh man, that's kind of a bummer. But hey, at least you got out and got to spend some time on it. But yeah, indoor antennas, they have a little bit of their limitations sometimes, and they're not quite as effective as an outdoor antenna. But hopefully you'll get that all fixed up soon there, Dawn. You'll have to let us know when you get your antenna back up. But anyway, who else played field day this past weekend?
Hello, ladies. This is Judy from Arizona, KE7IXI. We had a very nice field day. Our 2 boys came over. They were also ham operators. We took turns. We mostly got our contacts on 20 and 40. We ended up making 41 contacts. Sunday morning was a lot of static, had some difficulties, but right at the end we were able to get a few more. We just had a good time laughing and just made some really great contacts. East Coast, South, and a lot from California, being, that where we live, Colorado, Utah. So it just was a very enjoyable field day. Back to you.
All right, very good, Judy. Well, that is awesome. Glad you had a great field day. Sounds like you had a lot of fun. And, yeah, that's the part of the fun about hanging out with some folks and playing field day. You do get those time to hang out and lots of laughs in between those cues. So, fantastic, Judy. It's good to hear from you. Glad you had a great field day. Tammy, I think, wanted to come in, too. So let's pass it over to her. KK4USM, AC4YL in the group.
The field day with Boy Scouts. I listened in on the class. I didn't teach the class, but we helped the Boy Scouts make the contacts after the written portion was done. And basically, I just walked around the Northville field day this year.
All right, that's awesome, Tammy. Glad you were able to make it out there and spend some time there. I know the weather here was a little crazy. I think we had some storms popping up on Saturday, but sounds like y'all made the most of it. And I did see some pictures on, I think, the Facebook group. There was some pictures posted of the Merit Badge program that they do every year on Field Day, just before Field Day kicks off. So, great. So glad you made it out there, Tammy, and had a good time and got to play some Field Day this year. That is great. All right. Who else played Field Day and wants to tell us about your Field Day experience?
KI5AHF.
All right, awesome. Becky, please go ahead. KI5AHF, AC4YL in the group.
Yes, hi, Catherine, and everyone on the net tonight. This was my first field day, and we went out to our one of the clubs out here, Williamson County Amateur Radio Club, here in Central Texas. They had about 4 stations set up at Park, and I actually worked the GOTA station for a little while, and made about 20 contacts, so that was very exciting. I had a lot of fun, learned a lot, and I enjoyed watching the guys make contacts on the other stations. Our VHF station was actually running all 3 modes, CW, voice, and WinLink, I believe, at the same time. So he was kind of busy in there, but they were making contacts left and right, doing a real good job. And it was a beautiful day. It was hot here, but we had air conditioning in the trailers. A lot of local organizations donated their generators and their trailers to our club, so that was pretty cool. But yeah, I was really excited about making my first contacts, and everyone was really supportive, and it was a real good time. I'm looking forward to actually maybe running one of the stations next year for the club. KI5AHF, back to net.
All right, that's fantastic, Becky. I think that's great. You were able to get on and get out there, participate in field day, and not just kind of walk around, but actually get on the air and spend some time on the GOTA station, because that is so much fun. It is so much fun. I remember my first field day, and I played on the GOTA station, and that I was already kind of hooked because I had a little bit of experience hanging out with some contesters prior to field day, but boy, that just really, it just increases if you have been on the air before, it increases your excitement, and if you haven't, boy, it can really just fire it up. I know Lori, K4UTI, is a close friend of mine in the same ham club. That's really what got her fired up in amateur radio, was spending time on that GOTA station at field day. And for those of you that are acting as coaches and helping out at the GOTA station, that is fantastic, because you play a role in really kicking it off with some folks that have never been on the air before, make that experience wonderful for them. So glad you're able to get out there. It sounds like you had a lot of fun, Becky, and we really appreciate you coming in and sharing that with the group here. Who else would like to tell us about their field day experience?
KW1YL, Brenda.
Please, go ahead, Brenda.
Well, this is KW1YL, and I had a good field day, too. My OM and I went to 3 different sites. We went to 1 on Saturday and 2 on Sunday. Saturday was Avon Mountain. It's in Connecticut. I think it's 264 feet high, something like that. The record's in this phone that I'm on. We aren't members of the club. It was the Bloomfield Amateur Radio Club, but we were invited by someone. So I didn't spend long at my turn. I took a brief turn with another YL, and we were taking turns making contacts on 20 meters. We just were at a radio that had been set up for 20 meters. I don't know what power it was or anything, but anyway, we just made 6 contacts between us, and we took turns making the contacts, trying to reach them. I had trouble reaching them. She could do that, but she had trouble making herself understood by them, and I could do that because my sound guy, OM, has taught me how to get real close to the mic, and she didn't know that, so basically they heard me. They didn't hear her. So between us, we made these 6 contacts, and then I, left and gave someone else a turn that was in the club. So, but that was good. That was fun. And then Sunday, we went to 2 other clubs that are more local, that we're more involved with, but we were late, and so we just kind of saw them wrapping up and helped one of them dismantle. And I enjoyed that, seeing all the different sites, those 3. And then 2 years ago was my first field day, the only other time I was on HF was 2 years ago, because we set up for HF at home. We are working on it, of course. We still have to drill holes for cables and things, whatever. But anyway, so it was good working on HF, and a very interesting day. So that's my report. So KW1YL, back to net control.
Well, that's fantastic, Brenda. Glad y'all were able to get out there and visit some different sites. That's fun, and you can check out the different setups, and that's great, fantastic. Sounds like you had a lot of fun and got to get out and check out some things and spend some time with the YLs there too. So that is great. Just as a side comment, because I know some of us missed her, but Amy AG7GP was on briefly. She had to pop back out, though, because it looks like she just was on a short break. Hopefully she'll be able to come back, because Melanie and I were browsing at her QRZ page, and wow, fantastic. Just got out there and started playing radio. She's got her license last year, and but she commented in the EchoLink chat, for those of you that aren't seeing that, but field day was awesome for her, so hopefully she'll make it back, and we'll be able to ask her maybe next week about her field day experience and get her a chance to tell us about it. But anybody else on the group want to tell us about your field day experience? And I'm going to pass the mic to Melanie because I have to step away for a minute, and I'll let her take it from here.
Okay, this is AG4YL, and that might have not been clear that we were calling for anybody else that wanted to comment on their field day experience. So if there's anybody out there that has anything else, I did notice in the chat that I tried to get my OM to try the GOTA. He has no interest. You know, GOTA was the thing that got me really crazed about contesting, about doing anything like that, about being on HF, getting on the radio, anything like that. Even though I know field day is not a contest, technically, but I was absolutely bitten and just wanted to keep on going. It was crazy. I thought it was just awesome. But I think that's kind of funny. The comment, you know, sometimes it's just not for anybody. I think you either you feel it or you don't. And for me, I'd always kind of been interested, but I've always thought radio was magical anyway. I just thought it was the neatest thing. Since I was a kid, I thought radio was just the coolest thing ever, and I loved trying to listen to stations, you know, on shortwave or throw wires out the window and see what I could get. So GOTA for me was just the, I think, culmination of a sort of a thing that had been deep inside me for a long time and really came out like crazy, like gangbusters. But anybody else out there that has some more really awesome field day stories and want to share their experience, please call now.
And to RJ.
Well, good evening to you, Rhea. Just to update you, we are on RF this evening, so I couldn't see. There you are. Thanks for joining us this evening. I see you and a few others here. I've got Echolink up on the phone. Good to hear you this evening. We missed you last week, but we did tell everybody about your big announcement for the Hudson director. We did talk about that and put you in on there. But I'll let you go ahead and take the mic into our JAG4YL.
All right, this is N2RJ. Good evening to you. Well, I had quite a busy field day, as you would imagine. I actually went and toured a number of different sites to talk to people and generally get a feel of what their feeling is. I did see a number of very impressive clubs. One of them, the most impressive, I think, was the Westchester Emergency Communications Association, commonly known as WECA for short. And they had a magnificent field day. They had 2 towers. They had 2 beams. I made a video and I put it on my Facebook. I'll share it to the group. They also had a vehicle, and they're actually sponsored by the county. And the town, actually I think it's the town that sponsors them, the town of Mamaroneck, New York, and they're a very nice club. They had a full GOTA station with mentoring, and I saw one of the senior club officials there being very patient with people and showing them how to make contacts, which was good. I did see some others. Let me just drop for a minute. Yeah, so I went to others in New York and New Jersey. I did go to my local club, which was Sussex, and Andrea K2EZ was there. She was operating her software-defined flex radio, and they had a number of different operators. They always play to win. They have a extensive CW operation, which is what you need to win. They also have a lot of good food at these field day. Now, a lot of these people, they aren't in it to win. They're in it to have fun. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. I saw one club called Split Rock. They had wire antennas and they had a tri-band beam, and they were really a lot of fun. So it was pretty interesting. Back to net end.
Well, thank you very much, Rhea. How many, approximately, how many different field day operations, if you will, did you visit over the 24-hour period?
I counted 15, and I went from big to small. I tried to stay a little bit at each one and talk to people because that was really my mission, but it was more, I couldn't have done a full complement, but I did 15 of them.
That is really something, and I can imagine it really sort of opened your eyes to the way different individuals, clubs, organizations, what have you, operate field days. I myself have very limited experience. I've only been to the local club's field day here, which they do a big job. Now, you were mentioning some are in it to win and some are in it more to have fun. The first field day that I went to with this club, it was in 2015. I was just been licensed 6 months earlier, and as I mentioned, I got on go to station, never looked back. That was the end of everything for me. I was done. I was gonna go for it. Now, the club is fairly large. You mentioned the club with the towers and the beams and all that, and North Fulton does a good operation, but they do it with loops around ball fields and a lot of wire antennas. They have a dedicated CW station. They have a satellite station, with its own wonderful antenna system, and the sideband station, the multi-purpose station that does CW and the sideband, whatever, digital, and then the GOTA station. And when I went, even though it was very exciting and there was a lot of cues and the excitement was ramped up, in 2015, they really focused on having fun and getting people interested and answering questions and showing you things and really getting you interested. And just vicariously, that led to a great success rate for that club. That club often it takes first place. It just does. They just do for field day. But I've also, seen the competitive side come in recent years, and it does lend a different feel to it. Let me let it drop. This is AG4YL. Thank you very much for commenting on that and for coming in and sharing, some of those experiences. And it really does make you think about how field day can really encompass a lot of different mindsets. I just happen to be one of those people that think if people get together and they want to have success through fun, that they will be successful. And if it's all about a competition, which really isn't what field day is about, it's it's about, testing your equipment, testing your setup, doing the best with what you have, and really, responding in sort of an emergency preparedness sense. And I think it's I think all of that is important, and that's kind of the main focus. But that's my personal opinion, and everybody is, of course, entitled to that. I enjoyed, playing at home, being sort of the, EOC station, although, we were on battery power, weren't using commercial mains or anything, but we're still sitting in sort of a home base kind of situation instead of getting out and operating portable. But we'll see how that works out maybe next year. But we came in kind of late, but Catherine and I played field day and played around with a new antenna. We took a match from an Easy Alpha antenna, Easy Military antenna, took the match and put some flex weave on it and a ground on it, and made a sort of a long wire with a trans match and sloper, and it was pretty doggone effective. It was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun at it. Let me let it drop, and I'm going to send this back over to Catherine, AC4YL. This is AC4YL.
Okay, very good. Thanks, Melanie, for jumping in and taking the mic for a minute. And Rio, glad to have you here with us this evening. And I only caught the tail end of that, so I'll have Melanie fill me in later on what else was missed. And or I can also just go and listen to the wonderful recording that Lauren has set up for us, and can catch any pieces that I missed at a later date. So with that, again, I'd like to take just a moment and thank Lauren. I know she is on briefly and then had to go do some other things, but she works hard to get these recordings done, and then goes back through and cleans them up before posting them up to the YouTube channel. So please, ladies, share that with all of the YOs that you come into contact with. Encourage them to check out the YO OpNet YouTube channel. They can listen to past nets and kind of get a feel for what the net is like. And it's a great way for them to kind of virtually meet the group here, because a lot of you are here every week, and just about every week. So it's kind of like getting together with family. It's a lot of fun. So with that, who else would like to tell us about your field day experience? We have just a few minutes left.
I just thought of something. This is Judy from Arizona. So I want to let you all know it's 110 still here. But anyways, that's not why I'm on. I just wanted to say that this was the first time that our radio and our computer were connected. So it was really great. We were able to input our contacts on the computer. Otherwise, you do the old paper and pencil routine, So, but it was great. It really was. We just had a wonderful time, and with the whole family, and just can't wait till next year. Okay, back to you, Catherine.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Judy. Yeah, that heat will get to you. You got Melanie put in there her typing there, because we're connected here on my phone through Echolink, but we're transmitting here on RF. So Melanie was commenting about dry heat out there, and
You'll get it. It's okay.
but anyway, Melanie's mom was out in Scottsdale, so familiar with the heat out there. But, very good, Judy. Thank you very much for coming in and adding those comments. Yeah, the weather, boy, I think everybody had a bit of different weather going on over the weekend. But, that adds to the fun and the challenge, right? All right. Anybody else want to tell us about your field day experience? Again, we still have just a few minutes left here. Okay, not hearing anyone. Very good. Well, I do want to take a moment and say thank you to all of you ladies for coming in that told us about your field day experience, and it was great to hear all the variety here and the different ways that you gals participated in field day, and it's always exciting to hear the varying experiences and stories there. If you have photos, or would like to share those experiences with YLs that may not have been able to be on the net this evening, we highly encourage you to get on the YLOps groups.io group and post your story. It doesn't have to be lengthy. Just post on there what you did for field day and any photos that you have. Go ahead and set up, if there's not one already, start up a 2018 field day photo album and put your pictures in there and upload them there, and we want to see that, and we want to be able to read about your experiences over there, so please post them there. You can also post them on the YLOpNet Facebook group as well, but the groups.io group is for YLs all around the world, not just those of us here on the net, so please post them there, photos, your experiences, and tell the gals about it, because it makes it fun and interesting and keeps that group alive and active, which is what we want to do. Okay, so Melanie has a comment or two or some things she wants to bring up here while we have just a few minutes left, so I'm going to pass the mic over to her. AG4YL, please go ahead. AG4YL in the group.
Okay, this is AG4YL. Just a heads up, the repeater timing is off by a few minutes, so if all of a sudden we drop, we'll put something in the chat here or try to actually transmit through the phone here. So if I suddenly drop and do something weird, we'll be watching the chat for that. The repeater will drop the Echolink Connect a little early. It's something that's kind of been on my mind, and with field day and everything like that, and we've had a lot of new people since we've brought this up, and maybe we'll bring this topic up in the next week or so. But portable operations, back in 2016 when National Parks on the Air was a big thing that ARRL was doing, Catherine and I decided that we wanted to try to do something portable. I didn't have an HF rig, but I did borrow one from the North Fulton Amateur Radio League. They have a loaner program, and I borrowed a TF450 SAT, a Kenwood 450 SAT. Now, this is pretty much a base rig. Yes, it has a handle on it. That's about as portable as it gets. It's about 15 pounds, 16 pounds of HF radio. Not exactly what you would call something, portable. We took that out and activated 33 national park units, and we did this by taking the radio, taking a automotive lead-acid battery, sticking it on the floorboard in the back seat and back of the car, and putting two different kinds of antennas. We tuned up a pair of ham sticks, basically HF sticks from MFJ, tuned them up, and we used either a mag mount for just a simple vertical on the top of the car, mag mount to the car, or we used the MFJ mini dipole mount. Let this drop. And we'd like to go ahead and welcome CJK7. CJS, good evening to you, CJ. We had been talking about our experiences. I'm glad you could join us for the last few minutes of the net and say hello. We're on RF this evening, kind of doing a little portable net, if you will. But MFJ has a mini dipole mount, and the reason why I mention MFJs is because they're insulated left and right. That's kind of important to have a good dipole mount. Stick it on a piece of PVC pipe and stick it in. We used military poles. You could get push-up mast, anything like that on there. We once stuck it up into a tree. 2 HF sticks and a mini dipole mount, and made our own little dipole, and activated, talked to people all over the U.S. and even some DX contacts with it. I stuck it up out back of my apartment, and I've talked to Australia, Iceland, Africa. I've contacted DX all over the place with this thing. You can work portable, and I just kind of wanted to put that out there for those that are like, well, I don't have a portable setup, I don't have all this fancy equipment, I don't have a screwdriver, I don't have da-da-da-da-da. You don't need it. It's $40, $50 for the antenna, some time to tune it, and a rig and a automotive battery. You could use your car battery that's in your car if you want to. Just be careful and don't run it down. Just play radio, and we have so much fun with it. That was my comment. I just wanted to throw that out there. It's possible. We didn't know what we were doing, and we had a blast. So this is AG4YL, and I'll pass this back over to Net Control.
Okay, very good, Melanie. Well, thank you so much for that. And we have just a few minutes left here. So does anybody else have any comments or announcements or anything for the net while we wrap this up? So if you want to come in, say hi, or if you have a comment or something for the net, please call now, AC4YL.
My finally have some decent internet. Haven't had any good internet since November. So it's good to be on. I don't know if you can hear me or not. I'm talking as well as I can. And I got to make some adjustments, but just wanted to say hi. And I'm at least back for a couple months. I'll work on my volume, and I will chat later. Back to you, Catherine.
Okay, CJ, your audio was very, very, very low, but did catch that you wanted to say hi to everybody, and I think you said you were going to work on your audio there, but we're really, really glad to see you. It's been a while, and if you don't mind just typing in the Echolink chat where you're hailing in from this evening. But it's great to hear you and great to see you. It's been a while, CJ, and we've been missing you here, so glad you were able to at least make it in this evening. But, and thanks so much for popping in and saying hi. Any other last announcements or comments for the group, anyone? Any YL, please call now.
And to RJ?
Go ahead, Rhea.
Well, I'm sure all the YLs know, but I'll mention anyway. I started my new job on July 9th. It's been a long 2 months looking for the right opportunity, but I found it. So I'm very excited, and hopefully I wouldn't be as busy as I was in the last one.
Well, that's great, Rhea. So happy for you. It makes a big difference to find the job that you're working hard to get, and so congratulations for that. And so glad you found one that was a good fit for you and that you're happy with it. And yeah, closer to home, that means a lot, especially when you got kids to take care of. So that is great, Rhea. We're very, very happy for you, and congratulations on that. All right, gals, so we're going to go ahead.
Okay, let's try this again because the repeater dropped the net here. So want to thank everybody this evening, and we're going to go ahead and close out the net. But Melanie wanted me to add here that if you want to see pictures or parts list for that dipole antenna, just go to QRZ.com and look for Melanie, AG4YL. just do a search for her call sign, and on her QRZ page, she's got the parts list and information on the antenna. You can also email her, ag4yl@arrl.net as well, or bring up your questions, bring your questions back up here on the net 1 week is another great opportunity to do that. With that, this is AC4YL. Do we have any other YLs who would like to check into the net this evening before we close it out? Please call now. Okay, not hearing anyone. This is AC4YL. I'm going to go ahead and officially close out the YL OpNet. Take a moment to thank Lauren, KC9ZHV, for recording the net and making it available to all through YouTube. Please share that information with all YLs and OMs who may have YLs that are interested. Let them know it's out there, and please post to the YL OpNet Facebook group and also the YLOpsGroups.io group. Please post on there questions, comments, anything that you have to share ham radio related. We want to hear it, see it, and be able to share that with other YLs as well. We'd also like to thank ALARA for the use of this conference node. We appreciate that. And all who are linked and listening for your ongoing support of this net. This is AC4YL, closing out the YL OpNet and returning the ALARA conference to normal use. 33 ladies, we'll see you next week. Take care. 33!
33, everybody. See you next week. WA4YL.